And flood your mind. When you think you're going down, when you think you're not going to make it, when you think you're going to fail God, or you've not measured up, when the enemy comes in and tells you that you're unworthy, you're unholy, you're no good, you'll never get it. What do you do when the enemy comes in like a flood? You see, the Lord raises up a standard. Let me show you what that standard is. Look at verse 1. The Lord reigneth. He is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. And he's put on his armor and set for battle. You have to have a clear vision that your Lord and Savior is standing by. His eyes on your flood, his eyes on you. You have to have a clear vision of what God has promised here. I've not ignored you. I see where you're at. I see what you're going through. Look at me. He says, I have girded myself. I put on my armor. I have my sword in hand. And then read what it says, verse 4. The Lord on high is mightier than the noise of many waters, yea, than the mighty waves of the sea. God says, get your eyes off the flood, get it on me. I've got my sword in hand. I am more powerful. I am mightier than all your floods. I'm bigger than all your fears. Get your eyes off your fears. He said, I've girded myself. That hit me. I could hardly sleep. I picture my Lord standing over me, sword in hand. He knows how far it can go and no farther. He'll come and slay the dragon in his time. He's saying, now you just stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You just put your trust in me right now. Don't be afraid.
Amen, amen. Don't be afraid of the enemy, everybody. He's going to come at you. He's going to make war on you if you are on truth. If you are not on truth, he will try not to annoy you to wake you up. But if you are awakened already, he's going to bring war to you. And that war, it's not you that is going to win. It is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that is going to crush his head. It has been predicted from the beginning of time. You can find that in Genesis 3:15, 14 and 15, and see how far we've come. And it's still predicted, because that's how strong our God is. He knows the end all the way from the beginning. He's like, they don't call me creator for no reason, you know. So as my favorite pastor out there keeps saying, when we see how small the enemy is, we're just gonna laugh, like the Wizard of Oz, that at the end they see Oz and was no big deal. Yeah, he still, hello brother, he still is an angel though. So for us, let me get this out of the way. Okay, so for us, he's way more powerful. Now, you can get your own little victories, but we cannot win him. So his end is very, very close. And this is what we are studying here. We are studying the book of Revelation. And before we manage to see how things will turn out, we gotta know where they are, because we have a tendency to not pay attention. And this verse gets repeated again and again in the Bible, especially in the book of Revelation, that says, blessed is he that watcheth. Now that watcheth is a little bit loosely translated. what the text is saying is, blessed be those who are sharp into discovering, into looking, into caring to find out. You cannot be slothful and be waiting for things to happen. And when they happen, you also ignore them. So this didn't start that way of also showing some things from the past, but we have arrived at 2024 and everybody has ignored 2016. I will add to that 2015 too. I cannot describe the reason why 2015 matters, but when 2015 came, things started happening. And this is where the whole agenda that we are undergoing today, and we think we can stop by a vote, it got announced back in the day. And anyway, so today I've brought up a video which I'm going to play right now. The more we allow to play, the more info you're gonna get. This comes from a playlist titled 2016 under my channel, and this is part B. So at the beginning of that playlist, there is a video called, it's a very short one, and it's called The Peel. So at the end of that video, you are given a choice of whether you want to continue watching that playlist or get out. And I'm also giving you a link to go to, I don't remember what it was. I think it was Rihanna's something. Or, no, I remember. It was Kanye West, Famous. So the thumbnail would bring up 2 footnotes. They're not even called footnotes. They're called suggestions now. But the one suggestion was to take the red pill and go deeper. And the other suggestion was to get out of this and watch Famous. Famous by Kanye West was showing a bed where a lot of people were in that bed. So I suggest you take a look at that video clip. It came out back then, 2016. And Kanye West, Famous. Watch the official video clip and look at who is in the same bed with whom. You should check that out. Kanye West, who then became this Christian person, right? Right. So with no further ado, I will just allow the first minute of the intro, which is not even first minute, like 20 seconds, which is referring to red pills. Those that continued on watching part to part, the things that were getting revealed to some people at that time, and they were making videos about them. But that doesn't mean that everybody on the planet was paying attention to that, right? But they still had the responsibility to do that, even if nobody would watch. So it starts with that, but then it has 5 minutes of a song and another song overlaid, which gave me copyright issues at the time. So I'm gonna skip those, and I'm gonna jump us from the first 30 seconds straight to, I think, the 5th or 6th minute. So with no further ado,
to do. We gotta get to it. Now, I'm supposed to start with these operation programs first. This major motion shed. Let's do something a little more fun. How about combat training?
This is a system, Leo.
So why doesn't it give me a time here? Do I need to just scroll it? Okay, I can scroll it like this and take this right over here. I wish I had a better, oh, okay. 6 minutes should be okay.
It will lead you in the right direction. Let go your mind, your intuition is easy to find. Just follow your big hand, follow your heart.
kill me.
Μέσα σε όλο αυτό το κλίμα το οποίο το βλέπουμε ότι είναι πολύ βαρύ και πολύ τέλος πάντων δύσκολο για όλους και παγκόσμια κτλ. Κρατώ μία επιφύλαξη. Βλέπετε ότι γίνονται πάρα πολλές ανακαλύψεις και στην ιατρική και στο σύμπαν και πολλά θα βγουν από εδώ και πέρα. Λέγεται ίσως μέσα στο Φεβρουάριο-Μάρτιο ανά τον κόσμο να εμφανιστεί μία καινούρια, ένας καινούριος άνθρωπος ο οποίος θα είναι οραματιστής, θα είναι σαν είδωλο, ο οποίος θα δώσει μία άλλη ιδεατή αίσθηση στον κόσμο. Μακάρι, γιατί έτσι με την οτροπία που αυτό τον καιρό ανά τον κόσμο γίνονται οι αποφάσεις, δεν φαίνεται να πηγαίνει τίποτα καλά. Ας ελπίσουμε.
And is there anything you hope viewers to get from the series?
So we're making this series, and we hope people will go and see it and enjoy it by getting something out of it, something tangibly good out of it. What could that possibly be? It could possibly be that there is a broader realization of the sameness of our faiths and our beliefs and our lives, more sameness than there is difference.
For her latest project, Believe, she's exploring how we are all connected by our ongoing search for something greater than ourselves.
Why do even non-believers find a prayer on their lips from time to time? I want to understand this instinct, which unites us all.
Somewhere in the spiritual base, we all align because all of the religions have this in common: compassion, kindness, and love. When you see that, you know, I think the whole point of the series is to show that there's a big, wide, open space that is the space of all of our hearts. I think the whole point of the series is to show that there's a big, wide, open space that is the space of all of our hearts if we're willing to let ourselves go there.
Historic sites in the Syrian city of Palmyra suffered greatly at the hands of ISIL. Since its recapture last month, people have been considering how to restore the UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Other journalists use phrases like "some people say" or "officials say" when they're trying to insert anonymously information in a story that sort of advances the storyline. Fox does it in a different way. "Some people say" is Fox's cue that I'm pretending to be an anchor, so I can't say this is my opinion or this is Roger Ailes' opinion, but some people say.
Some people say that'd be a pretty good choice. Bring in the Hispanic vote. Some people saying, he's posturing.
Some people say, and excuse me, I'll get to you, Joe, in just a second, but some people say that you may be setting up Sharpton for a run against Hillary in 2006 in the Senate.
Journalistically, it's a very peculiar technique because the idea behind journalism is that you're sourcing who you're referring to. This is just sort of a clever way of inserting political opinion when you know it probably shouldn't be there.
Some people say that this might undermine what the U.S. troops are doing there.
Some people say John Kerry has some similarities to an earlier Massachusetts politician.
Some people say in light of what's happened with the oil for food program.
Some people say supported by Iran.
Some say, I've heard a couple people say.
Some say that it's a sour grapes book. Some people say people say it's just too violent. There's too much blood.
Some people say.
Some people say.
Well, some people say.
Some people say.
Some say it.
Some people say.
Some are saying. Some people say it.
There's some people who say something, if not major, has already happened.
Those are his words.
Some people say it's exploitive. What do you say to that?
People have been considering how to restore the UNESCO World Heritage Site. CCTV's Dan Whitehead reports from northern Italy, where artisans are working on a recreation of the triumphal arch from the Temple of Bel.
And we have to stop for a moment and ask the question, why in the world would we honor such a gruesome practice?
Nestled in Italy's Carrara Mountains, historic ruins are coming back to life. 3D printers carve into Egyptian stone to recreate the 2,000-year-old triumphal arch, nearly destroyed by Islamic State in the Syrian city of Palmyra. Thousands of images of the ruins have been used to create 3D mapping. Later this month, the arch will go on display in London's Trafalgar Square and New York's Times Square. The aim then is for it to travel to Syria itself.
Bear with me, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty trying to do this video, which is kind of fitting considering the video. I wish I could say I'm making this up. All this stuff that's happening right now is insane, and I know I start every video with things like, I can't even believe this is happening, and look at what's happening now, and I don't even know how to preface this. I'm just going to say it. They're rebuilding the arch to the Temple of Baal, and they're going to erect that in Times Square in New York City and also in Trafalgar Square in London next month. So this, if you're not familiar with what the Temple of Baal is, this is a place where in ancient times there was ritualistic Baal worship, where they would sacrifice children and have giant orgies for fertility rituals to Baal. It says in some it looked a little bit like this. Adults would gather around the altar of Baal. Infants would then be burned alive as a sacrificial offering to the deity. Amid horrific screams and the stench of charred human flesh, congregants, men and women alike, would engage in bisexual orgies. The ritual of convenience was intended to produce economic prosperity by prompting Baal to bring rain for the fertility of Mother Earth. Apparently what happened was ISIS bulldozed this place. And so because ISIS destroyed it and it's a cultural heritage site, they're going to digitally recreate life-size replicas of this 50-foot arch to the temple of this, and they're going to start erecting them. And actually, it's not even just going to be in Times Square or in London. They want to do this in 1,000 different places all over the world. So 1,000 Temple of Baal archways are going to be erected in major cities all over the globe. I mean, what do you say about something like this? Okay, and the justification for this is ISIS has bulldozed such an important cultural heritage site. Do you know how many churches ISIS has destroyed? Do you see them erecting churches everywhere? Do you see that happening? No, you don't. Actually, they even talk about in here how they also destroyed a 1,500-year-old monastery, but it was modest and unadorned structure that had none of the glamour of the Temple of Baal. So they won't be bringing that to any major Western cities anytime soon, because it's just not glamorous enough, I guess. But Temple of Baal, not only will they make it, but they're going to go ahead and make it and put it in 1,000 cities all over the globe. So that's what it says right here. The Institute plans to construct approximately 1,000 such versions of the arch in cities throughout the world. This is the website for the place that's doing it, the Institute for Digital Archaeology. They're working with Oxford, they're working with Harvard, and they're working with UNESCO. So that's probably a really big surprise to most of you, UNESCO. But they actually have the first one here. It says Countdown Coming to Trafalgar Square. And they actually have a 25-day, it's at 25 days right now, a countdown to when they put it up. So you don't have to believe in this, by the way. You don't have to believe in this stuff, and you can say it's all hokey and whatever, but just, again, realize the people who are doing this, and they're doing it all over the globe right now, they believe in it, okay? Obviously. Why else would they be doing it? Temple of Baal arches going up all over the world. I guess the guys at Bohemian Grove won't have to go all the way to Bohemian Grove anymore to do the cremation of care. They can just go right down to Times Square, which will save them quite the trip. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say, you guys.
I told you I can only show you the door. You have to walk through it.
Is it merely an act of remembering an ancient and historical site? Is it a gesture of defiance against ISIS, who allegedly blew up the temple to Baal in Syria, leaving only the archway left? Now they are reconstructing the 2 pillars. In this video, I present some unusual facts about the Baal archways and their connection to Freemasonry. The archway to Baal is symbolic of what they have achieved this year, the Year of Light, the Freemasonic Anno Lucis. The archway serves as a symbol of the abomination they have raised before the Most High God. Fact number 1. The Temple to Baal archways will be set up in 1,000 locations, yes. But what you may not know is that that's very intentional. In the book of Revelation, we see that the Son of Man, Jesus, will rule for 1,000 years. What you don't know is that the Luciferians also maintain a prophecy. They believe that once they gain control of the Vatican, they will have power for 1,000 years.
Amongst Luciferian organizations, there is a prophecy that if they can invade the Citadel, and that's their name for the Vatican, they will have power for 1,000 years.
How close are they?
Very close.
A Roman Catholic named Malachi Martin warned us that the Luciferians had infiltrated the Vatican back in the 1950s and 60s. This was a part of a Masonic master plan that was outlined in a document called the Alta Vendita. Remember, Freemasonry has designated a specific year for the coming of the capstone, and that year is known as the Anno Lucis, the Year of Light. George H.W. Bush gave an Illuminati speech back in 1991 where he spoke about 1,000 points of light forming all over the world and coming together as one.
I've spoken of 1,000 points of light, of all the community organizations that are spread like stars throughout the nation doing good. We will work hand in hand, encouraging, sometimes leading, sometimes being led, rewarding. We will work on this in the White House, in the cabinet agencies. I will go to the people and the programs that are the brighter points of light, and I'll ask every member of my government to become involved.
There is an Illuminati card in the card deck for the 1,000 points of light. And now we are seeing the construction of 1,000 archways to Baal in the Year of Light. You can see in the Illuminati card a construction man is pictured shaking hands with an elitist. This construction man has an American flag on his hat and a phoenix on his arm with a pyramid. Number 2, the Temple to Baal archways have many, many similarities to the Temple of Solomon found in Scripture. Both temples have 2 pillars that form a gateway or entry into the temple, and they both have an inner sanctuary. Based on the Bible, Solomon's temple was required to have 2 pillars named Boaz and Yashin or Jachin that would form a gateway as one entered and walked into the inner sanctuary. What's interesting is that some sources, including Josephus in his book Antiquity of the Jews, documents that King Solomon, who built the first temple of Yahweh, also built the ancient city of Palmyra. Palmyra is the location of this Temple of Baal that was destroyed. While Solomon did not build the Temple to Baal in Palmyra, it is interesting that he was the original founder of the city. Freemasonry reveres Palmyra because it was built by Solomon and their legendary character, Hiram Abiff, who was the chief architect behind the first temple. In fact, Palmyra is one of the most important historic cities in Freemasonry, along with Baalbek and Jerusalem. An encyclopedia written by 33rd degree Grand Master Albert Mackey exposes the unusual similarities between the Temple of Solomon and that of the Temple of Baal, including that the two pillars in Solomon's temple were both 50 feet tall, that of Boaz and Jachin. As you know, the 1,000 replicas of the archway to Baal will also be approximately 50 feet tall. A side note, and a very interesting fact, is that these archways are being constructed by a 3D printing company, and they are being built entirely by machines, by robots. A third fact to consider is that worship of Baal was originated at the Tower of Babel by none other than Nimrod himself. One legend has it that the giant hybrid creature Nimrod became Baal after he died, and generations of Semites continued to worship him in place of where they should have worshipped Yahweh. Freemasonry honors Nimrod as the first builder, the original Mason. A fourth fact to consider is that the archways in New York City and London will be erected on the first day of a pagan holiday, a 13-day long period in which child blood sacrifices are offered to the god Baal. It's on this day that several high-profile false flag events have happened, including Oklahoma City bombing and Waco, Texas. If you don't recall, Newsweek posted the most remembered, most memorialized photograph when it put on the cover a picture of a bloodied child killed on April 19th, 1995, the first day of the pagan holiday offering a blood child sacrifice to Baal. I believe there is a cabal fundamentally opposed to Jesus Christ who is erecting 1,000 pillars in this year, the year of light.
DIA's iconic dark horse, unofficially known as Lucifer, will get a shade darker tomorrow night in observance of Earth Hour. The airport will cut the lights at some of its landmarks. Now first, from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m., DIA will turn off its LED sign along Pena Boulevard. At 8:30, Lucifer will go dark for 1 hour. The airport also encourages employees to turn off non-essential lighting. Earth Hour was created as a way to raise awareness about this weekend here in D.C., praying for the healing of our nation. And the event takes place at the Lincoln Memorial on April 9th.
People in the nation's capital were treated Monday evening to the rare sight as the sky opened up.
spending cash may be going out of style.
Bruce Springsteen and his E Street Band have canceled their concert scheduled for tomorrow in Greensboro, North Carolina, to protest the state's new law blocking anti-discrimination measures for gay, lesbian, and transgender people. Springsteen said the law overturns progress in recognizing the human rights of all people.
The law bowing out. Just days before a big concert in North Carolina, Bruce Springsteen's surprise move is a protest against the state's so-called bathroom law.
Yeah, critics say this law discriminates against gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people. And Springsteen is not the only big name speaking out.
That means thousands of Carolina fans won't get to see the 66-year-old legend.
Individuals are required to use bathrooms that correspond to the gender on their birth certificate. The boss joins the ranks of companies like Apple, Google, Yahoo, and PayPal that have pushed back against the new legislation calling for its repeal. Even Charles Barkley voicing his distaste of this new law.
I think the NBA should move the All-Star game from there next year.
And other celebrities praising the boss for canceling his show. Melissa McCarthy tweeting, "One more incredible reason to love Bruce Springsteen. Your integrity is inspiring."
And I know you always have my back. And it's been just wonderful to work with you. I know when we finished season 2, I was literally crying because I couldn't stand going through life without all you girls around.
You should always love yourself for who you are. The skin that you're in, whether you identify with it and are afraid to tell people, just go for it.
Listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
I was.
Look again. Freeze it.
This isn't the Matrix.
No. It's another training program designed to teach you one thing. If you are not one of us, you are one of them.
What are they?
Sentient programs. They can move in and out of any software still hardwired to their system. That means that anyone we haven't unplugged is potentially an agent. Inside the Matrix, they are everyone, and they are no one. We have survived by hiding from them, by running from them. But they are the gatekeepers. They are guarding all the doors, they are holding all the keys, which means that sooner or later, someone is going to have to find them. The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it.
He still needs a lot of work.
What are you doing?
Your muscles have atrophied. We're rebuilding them.
Why are my eyes hurt?
You've never used them before. Rest, Neo. The answers are coming.
Saturn has long been symbolized as an eye. There's the eye in Freemasonry. There's the eye of Sauron in The Lord of the Rings, the reptilian eye, the symbol of the negative force. And what happened in the massive and brilliant work of David Tolbert in the Saturn myth is that at some point there was an enormous ejection of debris in an explosion out of Saturn. And it formed like a luminous crescent because it reflected light at certain points of the day. And this, as the Earth moved on its axis, when viewed from the Earth, this appeared to move around Saturn. And at different points, there are different symbolism for different points. But this was the one that really was the focus of Saturn symbolism, because this was when that luminous crescent was at its most luminous during the day. And so you find this symbol over and over in the ancient world. And this is a common recurring theme of Saturn. And this, the crescent symbolically, and the disk of the Saturn sun, the dwarf star. And so from this came the horned god, the horned goddess. There is Madonna in her Super Bowl performance at halftime, which was so Saturn in its symbolism, it was laughable, including the fiery eye. And in the movie version of The Lord of the Rings, you had the crescent holding the Eye of Sauron. In Arabia, or you look at that of the symbol of Islam, the star, the sun, and the crescent. And the Arabian god Sin was symbolized as a crescent. Here you go. And I would suggest, from David Talbot's point of view, and I think he's right, that this represents the crescent of Saturn. This is the guy who started a satanic Saturn organization or secret society out of Germany called the Brotherhood of Saturn. And there's that symbol of the sun, look, with a dot. That's Saturn, not the sun that we have today, and the horned god. Molech, who is symbolized at Bohemian Grove as the owl, is also symbolized as the bull, and there's the horns with Saturn in the middle. And so you have the bull gods of Mesopotamia. And the winged goddesses in that state, this was often symbolized as the goddess with her holding the god, her arms around the god, or her wings around the god. And there is another version of that with the god Saturn and the crescent. And there it is on the Great Seal of the United States, exactly the same symbolism. There it is in the Air Force Special Operations Command. There it is in the symbol of the House of Windsor. There it is in the United Nations with the target on the world, very appropriately. There it is in the eagle of Rome. Here it is in Freemasonry. The flying disc of Egypt and other places is Saturn. And thus you have the Rosicrucian order, which connects into this network, using that flying disc symbolism. And so many of these logos carry the same symbolism. And in her Super Bowl performance, Madonna had the flying disc of Saturn. This is another ancient Saturn symbol because at some points, apparently it seemed to give off four very distinct lights, which became known as the four corners or the four rivers or the four ways. And so you find it, because of these bloodlines connecting into all these institutions, you find it in the Roman Church, you find it on the mace in the Houses of Parliament, you find it on the crown, you found it in the Celtic cross, and you find it in one of the major secret societies in the network, the House of Malta. It's known as the Maltese cross. It was also symbolized, this Saturn symbol and crescent, as the flying god in his flying boat. This is Horus in his heavenly boat. This is why it's used in the boats used in Freemasonry. This is a Freemasonic building on the Isle of Wight, funnily enough. And that is massive. I'm not saying Annie Lennox knew it was, just let's do this, it'd be a good idea. But that was massively Saturn symbolism when you watched it play out. Then you've got this symbol of the horned god. Again, Saturn, Satan, as it also became known, which is you find with so many politicians. And Pat Robertson, this so-called Christian evangelist. Yeah, okay. And talking of horns and horned gods, in astrology, Saturn is connected to Capricorn. And so one of the Saturn symbols is the goat. This again is the great Freemasonic historian Manly P. Hall, who said Pan, the goat god, was a composite creature, the upper part, with the exception of his horns, being human, and the lower part in the form of a goat. The god himself is a symbol of Saturn, because this planet is enthroned in Capricorn, whose emblem is a goat. That is what that is. Baphomet, worshipped by Satanists. It's a symbol of Saturn. And I'm going somewhere with this, because I'm going why they're focused on Saturn. So you have Baphomet, you have Beyonce, the wife of Jay-Z, with this big Baphomet ring, which is performing. You have Baphomet-dressed Lady Gaga, Baphomet-dressed Madonna, and you have Baroness Philippine de Rothschild from the wineries in France with a massive Baphomet necklace. And this is from the front cover of the Saturn myth, with the symbolism described of these lights that went off from Saturn at certain points, with the four main ones there. And there it is symbolized on one of these ancient tablets. And in St. Peter's Square, that is a mirror of the way that Saturn symbol looks. And there it is on the thing that he has his biscuit in, there, when he's doing his stuff. Now, this is inside the Mother Lodge of Freemasonry in Great Queen Street. Great Queen was the name of the Babylonian goddess, in London. Because, this will become significant in part 3, this crescent holding the sphere also became symbolized as twin pillars. And so you have Saturn, there's the crescent, being held up by the twin pillars. This is in one of the Freemasonic centers of the world in London. Numerologically, digitally, Saturn is number 8, and this has led to symbolism of Saturn in terms of the spider. Thus you have, in Madonna's Super Bowl performance, the winged disc symbolized with a spider in the center. Now this is fascinating. This is called the magic square of Saturn. And it's also, not by coincidence, the magic square of Freemasonry. And it's magic because of this reason. If you go that way, that way, that way, that way, or that way, or that way, all the numbers in the 3 blocks in line add up to 15. And in numerology, you keep adding numbers until they become a single number. And so 15 in numerological terms is 6. So 666, 666 in all directions. And the black and white squares, for reasons I'll have to go into in detail in a book, because there's so much to get through today, also relates to Saturn. And so you have them in Freemasonic temples, black and white squares, and you have them in the major cathedrals, like Westminster Abbey and stuff, because of this connection I'm talking about. Now, this is called the sigil of Saturn. And they get this symbol by drawing in the magic square of Saturn from 1 to 2, and then to 3, from 4 to 5 to 6, etc. That's how they get it. Now you turn that straight up, and that's what that is. It's the sigil of Saturn. And this is a major symbol of Saturn going way back, the 6-pointed star. It just so happens to be the very symbol from which we get the name Rothschild, one of the major families in this network, because they used to be called Bauer. They lived in Frankfurt in Germany. But they had this red 6-pointed star hexagram on the front of their house, and they changed their name to from Bauer to Red Shield in German, Rothschild, red sign or red shield, Rothschild. So they're named after this very symbol. And it was they that created Israel, not on behalf of Jewish people, on behalf of their bloody agenda that treats Jewish people with as much disdain as any of the rest of us. And so you have their symbol on the flag of Israel. They use the 6-pointed star so much in law enforcement. This is on a public building in Toronto, right in the center of the 6-pointed star. There's the horned god. There's the sheriff and a medal. There is the six-pointed star representing Saturn on an ancient clay depiction. And there it is on Credo Mutwa's 500 to 1,000-year-old Zulu hand symbol. If you do that on the dollar bill, you get the six-pointed star, and those letters make an anagram of Mason, interestingly. Inside the Great Mother Lodge of Freemasonry in Great Queen Street, London, there is the Twin Towers, symbolic of the crescent, and there is Saturn again, the six-pointed star. Now, of course, the Roman Church and Christianity, that is anti-Freemasonry and anti-secret societies because they're naughty, but it's on his bloody fish hat, look, right? They're everywhere because the same force is in control. There you go, have a bit more Madonna, there you go. And on the Great Seal of the United States, those 13 stars make up a six-pointed star, not by accident. And therefore, again, we keep coming back to this, all these different areas of society are in the end focused on one thing. Satanism is Saturnism. This is Fritz Springmeier, a long-time researcher into this and symbolism, etc., and Satanism. Saturn is an important key to understanding the long heritage this conspiracy has back to antiquity. The city of Rome was originally known as the Saturnia, or City of Saturn. The Roman Catholic Church retains much of Saturn worship in its ritual. Saturn also relates to Lucifer. In various occult dictionaries, Saturn is associated with evil. And this is the remains of the Temple of Saturn in Rome. And just next to this is this place called Capitoline Hill now, but before that called Mons Saturnus, the Hill of Saturn. And this is a very symbolically important place to the bloodlines. And this whole thing about the skull and bones, Capitoline Hill comes from caput, meaning dead, because they were supposed to have found a human skull there, and they call it caput, Capitoline Hill. That's why we say kaput when something's dead. And you have the theme in Christianity of Golgotha and Calvary, the place of the skull, hill of the skull. And Capitoline Hill became Capitol Hill when the bloodlines moved in on America. Now, in the North Pole, the northern pole of Saturn, is a permanent storm which takes the form of a hexagon. And this has been found by the Cassini spacecraft, and I think the Voyager one before that in the early 80s. And the hexagon also is an expression of the hexagram, or of the six-pointed star. Because all these different symbols that I'm going to talk about now are different expressions of the same frequency state. So you look at this crop circle from England this year, and it is a hexagon. But a hexagon is a flattened out cube. So when you look at it from another angle, it's a cube. Well, it just so happens that an ancient symbol of Saturn is the cube, especially the black cube. And I would suggest that's what they are. The Kaaba, the focus of worship in Islam, Kaaba means cube. The tefillin, the cube on the head in Judaism. And when people go to worship around the Kaaba, they're told to pray in concentric circles. Remind you of anything? And they're told to walk around it, and their energy can be trawled. And if you focus on something that represents Saturn, Saturn is where the energy goes. In Judaism, they have Solomon's temple. Every syllable of Solomon means the sun. And the Holy of Holies in the so-called Solomon's temple was supposed to be a cube. They talk in Revelation about the new...
All right. So I am going to stop it here for those that want to hear more. But again, as I did at the beginning of this video, I'm warning against David Icke, because he will not accept Christ. And I believe he's working for the enemy. Because the enemy will give you a lot of truth in order to eat the cookie. It has to taste good. It is like, it's how poison is made. And if you go to the store and pick up rat poison and you look at the ingredients, you will see that it reads 99.975 good food, 0.0025 or 0.25, I think, poison. So the poison that David Icke does is that he's turning people into seeing things in terms of frequencies and implicating the true Christianity in the agenda, pushing people away from Christianity. An example is right here, as I happened to pose it. According to the dimensions that we see and we know about the New Jerusalem that is going to come and land on the earth, we do not know it is going to be a cube. The same dimensions could be a pyramid. And a pyramid makes way more sense because we are being told by the book of Revelation that there will be no need for the moon and the sun because the lamp will be the light thereof. So if you have a shape like a pyramid, and on the top of the pyramid you have the true capstone, which is Jesus Christ, and he is the light will be shed all over the pyramid. And so you have to be able to discern and eat the meat and spill the bones. So David Icke, 8 years after this, he still hasn't arrived to Christianity. Therefore, because I now see so clearly how Christianity is the truth, I cannot take him for a friend. Such a researcher, as he claims to be, should have arrived and have received God's revelation about the truth. If he hasn't, he still works for the enemy. He's a very controversial figure. And that's why I'm warning you at the beginning. So he did throw something there about Golgotha. So one very important thing that I want people to get from this is how you will see cubes around and you will see them everywhere. And they represent 666. It is the new way of saying 666. Let me find a picture. Because they are already installed on a lot of areas. What he didn't tell you, he said, does it remind you of anything? But he didn't say what, is that as the people are going around a black cube and they are wearing white clothes and they are going around it, they resemble the rings of Saturn. And if you recall, what exists there is a stone which supposedly came from the sky. It's a meteorite and it's a black stone inside that cube. And your job as a Muslim is to go around, closer in, and then touch that stone and get the blessing. So they're getting blessed by a stone. Now we are getting blessed by our God and Savior. No, I didn't want to share my screen. I wanted to share the tab, which is the black cube of Saturn. So this represents 666. One of the reasons is what he told us about that numerology table, which creates the sigil of Saturn, but also the fact that a cube has 6 sides. It has the perimeter creates a hexagon, which is 6 corners and 6 sides. And it also has a 6-fold symmetry, which means that wherever you put a line in the corners, you always have a symmetrical shape on both sides. So that is called symmetry, and on the cube or on the hexagon, it's a 6-sided Siemens. So, again, I did throw the link out there for those that want to get deeper into those stuff. You will start recognizing a lot of things around you because a lot of things carry the logo of the cube or the logo of Saturn. Nobody's going to tell you that Saturn represents Satanism. I mean, you know, of the media, let's say people say, not many people say that Saturn is Satanism. Let me give you one logo here, which just will show you how that's everywhere. Share screen, share tab. Wrong tab. Oh, but I can go here and share this tab instead. So the logo of Nike, the name Nike means the Greek lower goddess called Nike, victory, and this is the ring of Saturn. All you need to do is add the planet in the middle. So you'll start seeing it around you. The more your eyes get acquainted with it and they understand, your mind starts understanding this. But now, after this intro, big intro, half-hour show, but I didn't know when to stop it. Let us go back to doing some reading, because we were at the fall of Babylon on chapter 18. Give me a minute, because my dog is like crying. I want to see what he's just asking for attention. I think. Give me a minute. He just wants to get into yes, I know, Stephanie, that is if you if you open it up, it creates a cross, and people like David Icke are using this to say, oh, Christianity is part of the agenda. Yeah, all right, you can say that, but the cross actually represents the sacrifice, and that's where they used to hang people at the time. So it could be something else. It was not created by the cube. It is what the Roman Empire was doing to those that they wanted publicly executed. And knowing from the revelation that happened inside me, there is no way for somebody to convince me that Christianity is part of the agenda. There's just no way. Now, there are Christian denominations that are part of the agenda, but not the fact that there is a spiritual war and there is a spiritual entity, which is Satan, and he's running this show. And the only one that is going to stop this is God, when he knows that it's best to do it. We fall into traps by, for example, people might say, why doesn't God end this already? Because if he ended it today, how many of your friends haven't arrived to the truth yet? How many of them would not have the bridge to make it to God, which is Jesus Christ? So God is allowing this to complete because he knows the end from the beginning, and we got to trust his timing, because me and you, my sister, we have a lot of friends that they are not there, and we love them. We don't want to see them in hell, and God loves them more than we do. I'm sorry, that did not answer only the question, but that's popped in my head also. So I'm going now back to bringing this and then Bible Gateway. things I've discovered after making that series is that the gates will not be exactly 1,000. They are 999 for two reasons. The first reason is that 999 is 666 reversed. I mean, upside down. The second reason is that the 1,000th gate is already installed. Now, let me, before we go in the study, which is, I'm going to try to finish up chapter 18 tonight by just reading through it. And we've already decrypted a couple of things, so I don't think there's going to be much decrypting that we're going to need to do. So I hope it's going to be a fast read. But let me show you part C of this series, which is only 13 minutes, I think, long, or 16 minutes long. But it will show you what the gate is, which it's always working when it's Easter. Like, I've been noticing this for the past 8 years since I woke up. Every Easter, it wakes up. And when it wakes, why Easter? Why do you guys just choose that date to open up a science center and do science? Why on Easter? And whenever they do, a big earthquake happens. Gangster's Ghost, I have so many I'm talking about, and I can't even control my own thoughts. So I'm sorry I have to say no to anybody. Just pay some attention to the information. And yes, so you know what? Okay, no, when I start reading, I'm gonna send you the link so you come join. Let me show you these guys first. What happened right 1 month after the video that we just watched. The next video was 1 month later, and it was Easter.
That was you on my computer. How did you do that?
Right now, all I can tell you is that you're in danger. I brought you here to warn you.
What?
They're watching you, Neo.
Who is?
Please just listen. I know why you're here, Neo. I know what you've been doing. I know why you hardly sleep, why you live alone, and why night after night you sit at your computer. You're looking for him. I know because I was once looking for the same thing. And when he found me, he told me I wasn't really looking for him. I was looking for an answer.
I didn't remember it had such an intro.
I can't go back, can I?
But
No.
I'll replay.
But if you could, would you really want to? I feel I owe you an apology. We have a rule. We never free a mind once it's reached a certain age. It's dangerous. The mind has trouble letting go. I've seen it before, and I'm sorry. I did what I did because I had to. When the Matrix was first built, there was a man born inside who had the ability to change whatever he wanted, to remake the Matrix as he saw fit. It was he who freed the first of us, taught us the truth. As long as the Matrix exists, the human race will never be free.
I believe I wanted to say let alone there, not yet alone.
After he died, the Oracle prophesied his return, and that his coming would hail the destruction of the Matrix, end the war, bring freedom to our people. That is why there are those of us who have spent our entire lives searching the Matrix, looking for him. I did what I did because...
I don't know if you're ready to see what I want to show you, but unfortunately you and I have run out of time.
This will feel a little weird.
And it is with great, great pleasure, therefore, that I hereby unveil the oldest new structure in the history of this city. Ladies and gentlemen, the Triumphal Arch of Palmyra. 3, 2, 1.
God bless us, everyone. We're broken people living under loaded gun, and it can't be our fault. It can't be outdone. It can't be outmatched. It can't be outrun. No. God bless us, everyone. We're broken people living under loaded gun, and it can't be our fault. It can't be outdone. It can't
I'm forced to stop this because there is some information missing which are earlier in this playlist, and you don't get all the symbology that it's being shown here. The kid is holding a ball that is of light. So that kid is the child, it's the light bearer, aka Lucifer. He's wearing a shirt with the number 11, which represents 2 towers. And where do you start? So let's just go into our study, and I'm gonna invite my friend Gangster Ghost in the room because he's always good company. And it will take me a minute, or it would only take me a second. GG, check your email and come right in. So now we're going to finish up with the fall of Babylon on chapter 18. And then the good news start happening on chapter 19. So don't worry about it, everybody. It's all good news until they get better. We know the end. We know that Jesus is going to win because the power is not the same. God created angels. One angel rebelled. It's like, what's the big deal for God? They are trying to present, hello, brother.
Hi.
They are trying to present the enemy, Satan, as having equal power to God. You cannot have equal power with somebody that created you. So, if anything, what we watched today should be an indication that the game is way bigger than the control that me and you can have over it. But Satan cannot have control over our choice to be with God. God is in control when that happens. So, fear not, have no fear. Let them do their game. Let them have fun with their game. Go ahead, Gigi.
Achilles?
Yep.
Brother Mike, like me to send a link to him, would that be all right?
Well, it is all right. He is welcome, but it's gonna get into a discussion, and I'm already 1 hour and 15 minutes in, and I just want to do a quick reading of Revelation 18, and then see Christian at your show and have like hours of discussion.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even inviting, members of the ministry here because I'm getting some dots together. And I might get somebody that says, well, I don't think that's right because there is this and that. And that's a discussion. It can take place anytime, at any place. But let's present first, I mean, if I allowed other people like earlier on chapter 4 or chapter 6, like my sister that I love, Stephanie, she would not allow me to complete it because she believes that I'm attacking God's word because I'm bringing out lies in the translation.
Oh, okay,
so,
sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Everybody has an opinion, and we need to compare all those opinions to find the truth, right?
Okay.
And let me just present, and then we can talk about it. You gonna okay? Let me see. This stream man weird on God fam no cap. I do not understand. Let me hold that link and that. I don't understand you, my friend. You're gonna do me like that for real. I don't know if there is some comments that don't appear on StreamYard and he's discussing with someone and they are rapping. I don't know.
I know who that is.
I've seen him around. I don't know who it is, if he has another profile, but I've seen him around.
Oh, he said you're breaking his heart.
Oh, why? Oh, Christian. Okay. Nah, it's a tough one. It's not breaking that easily. I mean, I tried breaking it yesterday. It didn't work. So I know. It's a hard one. Again, if I wanna tell Christian something, I said it on Missing Mode, so at the end of it, just in case he would end up watching it, because I know he was there at the beginning of the show. But I'm gonna ask him when we get together.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to bring up these windows here and go to first, let me come back and take us to the bottom right over there, so we're not hiding the text. Let's minimize that again. Revelation 19, King James. So going all the way to 18 here. Let's zoom in, because it ain't a small chapter. Recheck your cookies. All right. And after these, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. Perfect. Translation, perfect. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cave of every unclean and hateful bird. I would not change the word vulture. Isn't it vulture? Vulture, right? Let me look that up. I think it's vulture. Yes. I would not change the word vulture to bird. My trusted King James. Okay? There's a difference between saying hateful bird and saying unclean and hated vulture. All right? It's not even hateful. It's not that the bird is a hateful bird. It is that bird is hated because it's a vulture. I'm getting some wind through your microphone, Gigi.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, just hit the mute, and when you want to talk, remember to unmute. And so Babylon has fallen and has become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage and the prison, says the text, not a cage, a prison, for every unclean spirit, and the prison of every unclean and hated vulture. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps by reading this. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. This verse should be very telling to those that say that Babylon is the Catholic Church, because it is talking about a place that the kings of the earth have fornicated with, that the merchants are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. For those that don't know their history, there are so many things in the world today that we wouldn't have them if we didn't discover the United States. I happened to discuss about this yesterday with Peter and Christian. Things like corn, potatoes. I mean, I did not believe this when I heard it. Actually, I was in California. I was inside a class I do not remember what it was. I remember the professor, and he was not American history professor. So the class was not American history. I don't remember what the class was. But at some point, he said this about corn, that corn was brought up to the rest of the world on the discovery of the United States. So I raised my hand and said, no, sir, that just can't be true. He's like, no, it's true. Look it up. I said, no. I insist. There is no way that Greeks didn't have corn before discovering the United States. The Americas. And I looked it up. And next day I had to go to class and say, sir, you were right. I had no idea. Now, I was 25 at the time, or a little older, maybe 26, 28. I mean, okay, wait. Was I 32? It was 10 years ago, so I guess, yeah. So, no, wait, man, what's going on here? 20 years ago. So, all right, years go by really, really fast. But it was 20 years ago that I was in the States, 18 years ago. So, yeah, I was around that age, 25. And if you today call yourself an intellectual of any sort, and you are over 40s, you are at your 50s, and you still don't know that, we shouldn't be taking you very seriously. I was 25. I can excuse that. But anyway, so here it's clear that whatever the Babylon is, which we actually kind of decrypted where that is through things that are not clear from the text, but they are pointed to by the text itself. All you need to do is not be slothful and care to discover them, and they are right there. Like it's literally a sign that is pointing you to realize what that statue is. But anyway, this is a previous part. So this should be very clear, showing that is not the church, the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church, there's a super strong issues about it, but it is not Babylon. And I heard another voice from heaven. Let me check the text. Τη κτήνη του θυμού της πορνείας αυτής πέτωκαν πάντα τα έθνη και οι βασιλείς της γης με ταυτής επόρνευσαν και οι έμποροι της γης εκ της δυνάμεως τους τρίμους της επλούτησαν. I don't know that word. It's a word that is no longer being used, and I should look it up in a dictionary, but I think they probably got it right, which is the delicacies. They can be that wrong. Okay. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. This is why our brother that gave us this brilliant presentation on Babylon, his channel is Generation 2434, is saying, get out of New York. It looks like they have something very sinister planned for New York. I don't know what it is, and I don't know who they're going to blame it to. It might go, and then they say, oh, it's that guy that did it, you know? But there is some plague. Oh, by the way, this is not going to be plague again. I'm going to already turn it red. And then I'm going to go to the text. Exactly. The wounds. You do not receive the wounds that are destined to her. So it's not a plague like one is going to get sick and he's going to get that disease to another person, and it's going to be like a plague coming from the rats of New York or whatever. It's not that. It's whatever it is a big wound. It might be a boom. It might be a flood. I don't know what it is, but there is a curse that relates to Babylon. So some people could say that let us run away from the United States at all, because the statue is on New York, but that just represents the, you know, the center of merchandising, and you know, it's considered the peak of the world, like its lights will inspire you, you know what I'm talking about. So no, I would disagree though with that theory, because I believe that right inside what Satan has turned into Babylon, I see the greatest revival in modern history. So the curse is not all over the place. I have very high hopes on the American people. And if I can see that, God can also read your hearts. And he knows that there is a lot of good in there. So unlike other cities where he completely destroyed because he could not find good in them, that is not the rest of the country. So that's why conservative readers of the book of Revelation are saying, I wouldn't want to be around New York when things like that will be taking place. Now, again, I don't know, but that's what the text says. Come out of her, that ye be not partakers of her sins, so that you receive not her plagues, wounds. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Let me read 4 and 5 here real quick. Yeah, my people. So you don't. Synginonήσετε. This is a very interesting word being used here. And it's very, very well being translated, partakers. But I want to make this more specific from a Greek that understands the language that he reads. The word is kinonia. Some of you have studied enough the Bible to know what kinonia means. Kinonia is communion. And it starts from the communion that we did as early Christians, and then it took the name community. It comes from the word communion. When you have this SI at the beginning, it means together. So partakers is perfectly translated because it is a complicated word. But what it is saying is that there is some communion destined for Babylon, and you do not want to be part of that communion. You don't want the communion of her sins. Do you see how scary this is? Or is it me getting the goosebumps? I hope you all share them. So, for her sins have reached into heaven to me. Okay. Akολύθησαν is not reached, but her sins have been pinned upon heaven. Like God is keeping notes of her sins. Her sins have been pinned upon heaven. And God remembered her unrighteousness. It's in plural. So injustices. God has remembered her injustices. Iniquities, fine. Okay? I'm not I'm just being more specific with the text. I'm not pointing them out as errors that matter a lot, okay? But I'm trying to bring this more into a word-to-word and meaning-to-meaning translation than so loose that it sounds like a mystery. But iniquity to injustices, I guess it is correct. It is fine, all right? Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. All right. It doesn't say filled. It uses the word kernao in the past tense, which is a kerase, that person. It is in singular. And it means serve. So serve her double what she has served. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I see a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. We're beginning to see that pride that exists there collectively. People there have this I'm untouchable mentality, and that untouchable mentality, it reaches all the way to God. There are still God-fearing people over there, but when it comes to New York, you would have to look far to find them. Right next, New Jersey, I found a lot of love. Love, though, and hospitality. I'm not sure that in the homes that I got into, I found God-fearing people. I was being taken in by Democrats, and I think they're still Democrats, so they're not very God-fearing. Anyway. Therefore, shall her wounds, I'll keep pointing this out, because for me it matters a lot. It's not like one of those errors that I think change the meaning completely, but if you are actually trying to study and understand things, the word plague immediately implies what I've said before and again and again and again. And I'll spare you from doing that much, but it implies a contagiousness. No, it speaks of wounds. It speaks of something that we could attribute to curses, not plagues. Therefore shall her wounds come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judged her. Amen. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Because you know how selfish people are. Like, they will not be like, oh, I deserve the same. They'll be like, oh, poor you, New York. I wouldn't want to, or let's not say New York, let's just say Babylon. Although I'm guilty of fornicating with you, that's up to you. I didn't do it, you know. We know this all the way from Adam and Eve. God asked Adam, what did you do? Adam said, not me, it's the woman that you gave me. And the woman turns Eve and says, not me, it's the snake that you made. So, you know, this keeps going. Hasn't changed that bit. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls and fine linen, and purple and silk and scarlet, and all thine wood, and all manner vessels of ivory, and all manner vessels of most precious wood, and of brass, and iron, and marble, and cinnamon, and odors, and ointments. I'm not sure if we have cinnamon from the Americas. We have cocoa. Cocoa, how is it pronounced? Cacao, it's in Greek. But the world didn't have that before discovering the Americas. I don't know about cinnamon, all right? I know a lot of precious stones come from Africa, not the US, I mean the Americas, but I'll just, you know, keep reading and trying to finish this. And cinnamon, and odors, and ointments, and frankincense. Frankincense. I wonder what that word is here. Let me look that up. Kikinon and ammonon and thymiamata. Ah, okay. No, thymiamata is ointments. So what is the next? I don't know what the word frankincense is. I mean, here I get myrrh and Lebanon and wine and oil. So myrrh, which is one of the gifts that were given to Christ at his birth from the three wizards, are they called in English? Myrrh was one. Lebanon, I don't think it's the other one. But anyway, these two have been translated as frankincense. I don't know what that is. Anyway, maybe if I were to look into other translations right now, I would get a different translation. But at least, you know, the King James uses the frankincense word. I don't know what it is. And wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep. So if we look at the Greek here, the word beast is actually correct. It does use the word not therion, which means evil beast, but ktinos, which is a clear distinction for Greek between an animal and a beast. Ktinos is a beast and must be translated as beast in a book that is full of symbologies. But it means animals. It means that the merchants are getting all kinds of animals and sheep. So these are the things that as they have been reading them, they felt proficient enough to go back all the way to chapter 4 and change the animals into beasts and get it over with. But those are very specific animals that from the book of Ezekiel, we know that we do not get the right to translate them to beasts because there is another beast, 2 of them. So anyway, here on this chapter, the word beast is used and it doesn't use the word animal again. When it wants to say an animal, but use the word beast, there is a distinct Greek word for that, ktinos, and in the plural, ktini. Let me make that a little bigger. But it means, you know, everything that is not like a ship or a horse, because it clearly uses those words later. and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. The word slaves is not here. It says, and of bodies, and of can be translated as humans, can be translated as slaves, maybe, possibly, but the correct translation for a translation should be body. Like maybe today's Babylon is guilty of body trafficking, or any other trafficking that comes in your mind, because it is. I don't know if you've been paying attention to your border more than what the narrative wants you to see, that there is this wave of people coming in. Oh, it's not just a wave of people. There is a wave of children getting trafficked inside the United States. We have found so many tents with baby food and traffickers, and it's the situations when we're like, let's not ask for further details because you're gonna hate them. So here we get the word that Babylon is responsible for transferring beasts, sheep, horses, but also bodies and souls of men. Clear distinction here. Human, right? Includes women. I know that the translation speaks by itself as it means human, but there could be somebody out there that says, oh, look, it means men, it doesn't mean women. That's just dumb. The word is human, and the translation of human is men, right? And the fruits that thy soul lasted after, and the fruits that thy soul lasted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, yet stand afar. We kind of suspected that from that verse above, but here it is, clearly. Like, I didn't have anything to do with her. I didn't know her. You know, we men are like that. And I mean men exactly the same way as we just described it, both men and women. And saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? Meaning, where else can... And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. I'm not even going into the Greek to find little details. I think that there's I can't imagine like things not being translated right here. I'll just do a quick one. Should I like play some music with my mouth so while I'm reading? Bellissimo. Continuando. I wonder if I should make a distinction here. This says purple. This says porphyra. You can even see the letters. And red, which is attributed to scarlet. So here it says fine linen and purple. Why does it say and when there is no other color before that? So what the text says is the one dressed in purple and porphyr and red and decked in gold. Beep? What's that beep about? Hey, Ryan, Inception.
Hey, listen, I was getting ready to enter my room for my show, but I don't see it listed.
Oh.
So I don't know how to do that. It's not on the list of upcoming shows.
Okay, so is it in 10 minutes or is it in 40 minutes?
It's in 2 minutes.
Oh, no, wait. I was looking at the time of, okay. Keep people company while I'm going to set it up, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna read the final verses and end this show. All right.
Okay.
So we don't split viewers.
Sure.
Okay. So keep people some company.
Okay, thank you, Keelis. I appreciate that.
No
I
worries.
think Stephen usually sets them up, and maybe he hasn't had a chance.
Stephen and Awake has been busy, and I have been busy going in and out shows.
That's fine, as long as you know how to do it.
I kind of took it for granted that others were onto this.
I need to learn to do that. I need to learn to create. I need to learn to do it. Instead of depending on others, I need to learn to do it myself.
Now, when I'm making it, I'm going to YouTube to copy the title so I don't make it any different. So it's always, the same title. So I'm on my way now there to get the right title, and then I'm gonna get the thumbnail. So I'm almost there.
Okay.
Halfway through.
Okay. It's all right if I'm a few minutes late. I mean, last week I was very late because I was in the wrong room.
Yep.
Hey, gangster, how are you?
Okay, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well.
Okay, here we are. Do you want anything in the description?
How about let's talk predestination?
Ooh. He's going in hard. Okay. And the reason I'm usually leaving the scheduling part to others is because of the difference in our times.
Yes, yeah.
And yep,
It's kind of weird. Robert's guy came in over gangster and then left.
I'm sorry, what?
He put the link there in the thing.
Oh, he put the link?
Who did?
Probably Steven.
What link? Because I'm making the room right now. He
No,
made it
talking about
already.
the private chat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that for my show where they just put the link?
I think so.
So I'm not gonna make it. I gotta cancel all
Well,
this.
that means I can just click on it.
Let me see if it is. And being on another time, yes, he made it. Okay, he did. I was right about to press OK, so we would have 2 shows going on with you.
Okay.
But, thank God he got to me.
I'll go ahead and.
Oh, he said it here. Achilles, I'll make it. Oh, guys.
Okay.
I let you on guard. And
I'll go in there. I really need to go in there on my phone so I can send a link to the group chat.
I love the shirt, man.
Thank you. I got this from Bryce Crawford.
I love it.
Yeah.
Can we showcase it here?
Can you read what it says?
Yep.
Yeah, this is as soon as I saw Bryce wearing this and he said, yeah, we're going to be selling this on our website. I was like, I got to have one. Got to have one.
Oh.
And
I don't know if we have another poet in the house, or I'm beginning to suspect who this is.
who? Oh. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Okay. All right. Let me just finish reading this because we have another show coming up, and I have a private chat. Okay, what's it? And I'm gonna share the screen. No audio, just screen. Okay. And here we are.
I'll be back.
We got like 4 more verses. All right.
Okay, that's fine.
Go ahead and start it, brother. And is she still here?
I think he walked away.
How do you know if he walked away? Maybe
he's not on here.
Maybe he ran away.
Oh, he could have.
Run away from the pain. Yeah, yeah. Aerosmith. So, yeah. So I don't know. It is not that it matters so super greatly, but it's the text is saying. It doesn't say was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet. No, it says dressed in, no fine linen here, dressed in purple and porphyr, or I'm not sure how to pronounce that in English, porphyr, and red, and decked in gold, which we touched upon earlier. It is the same again. It is doubly gold. It's gold here and gold here. So the word is not exactly decked with gold. What it's saying is, and golded in gold. But I can take the decked with gold. You know, it is giving out the right message. And precious stones and pearls. Hey. Okay, this part here, that in 1 hour, all this wealth became desolate, has been translated on the next verse, weirdly enough, saying, for in 1 hour, so great riches is come to naught. All right, but the clear word became desolate, which I read it later here on verse 19. So let's go to 19. Here it is. Look, you see the word that I have highlighted here, irimothi. If you go to 19, you will see the exact same word, irimothi. Irimothi here, irimothi here. But on 19, they are translating it as desolate, but not on 16. It says note. Note. Okay, but her great riches came to become desolate. Nobody there to pick them up. Anyway, let's just try to finish this. And for in 1 hour, so great riches came to naught, okay? And every shipmaster, this is where verse 17 begins. And every shipmaster and all the accompanying ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. So this clearly looks like a destruction of a city that as ships are going to that city, they will stop their engines and wait and observe from afar. They will not be coming close. Wait, I was reading another verse right now. And they were crying as they saw the fire, the smoke of her burning, saying, who is similar to this great city? So they put ashes upon their heads and crying, saying, and mourning, saying, YYE, which is Alas, Alas, the great city, the one that gave riches to everyone that had the ships in the sea, out of her Okay, the word used here is timiotita, which means, but I think it is translated correctly because the meaning that the word has does not reflect the reason for the curse, because timios is righteous. So all the things that gave riches to others through her righteousness, but because that word righteousness comes from the word price, because price / honor, like having value, of her valueness. I get it how somebody who reads and understands what is happening could translate that to by reason of her costliness. It was not easy to do this. It was not easy for them to translate this. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. It's not on, have avenged you from her. So the curse also relates to how that great city, whatever it is, let's say, has treated the apostles and the prophets. God is the one that avenges. He is the one that has the final word, and he will avenge the death of his apostles and prophets. I don't remember what that is. I think it's in the Book of Kings. Vengeance belongs to God. And a mighty angel, let me read that. The saints and the apostles. Hey, where is the word saints over there? Why did you have to delete that? Why? Just why? Just why? It's in the text. It says the saints and the saints, 1, and the apostles, 2, and the prophets, 3. And here we get the apostles and prophets, that's 2. I mean, didn't they notice that? For God hath avenged you on her, but the word is ex, which is out of. So it should be translated as from her. Anyway. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great milestone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Some scary stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Και ήρε εις άγγελος ισχυρός, λίθον ως μήλον μέγαν, και έβαλεν εις τη θάλασσαν λέγον ούτως ορμήματι βληθήσετε Βαβυλών η μεγάλη πόλης, και ου μη ευρεθεί ετή. Correct. And the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a milestone shall be heard no more at all in thee. Not milestone, I'm sorry, millstone, right? There's a difference. Milestone with a millstone. And it's very funny that you might say, what sound does a millstone make? Well, that is the word used, millstone. So you tell me what sound it makes. But that is the word being used in the text. The sound is so what it means is that nothing will work any longer there. Nothing will be produced. Millstones are used to produce things, to grind them down. And those that are using them can hear that sound. And the verse is telling us that you will no longer hear that sound of working millstones. Again, very scary stuff. So if we have actually pinpointed where it is, run away from the pain. Hey, yeah. Funny that we had to mention this for song again. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. This is reflecting something that we saw on chapter 14 and chapter 17, and here as well, that about her cup getting everybody on the earth drunk. And you got to remember that everything aspires to the ideals of this merchandised world of consumerism. And wherever you look, everything aspires to the ideals of that center. The music industry of all over the world, the film industry of all over the world, all of those aspire to that. One could say that the music industry is in California, the film industry. I don't know if I said music industry. I meant film industry. You were right. You would be right if you were to say that. And I would respond, I wouldn't want to be in California either. I don't know, right? But it doesn't look good over there. I mean, it looks like these are the two centers infesting the center of the United States. New York and California are like pressing on your sides with ideals that are not of God. So I don't know if this is talking only about where the statue is, but I would run away from Cali as well. I've been to Cali. I lived there for 18 months, and I want to thank you all for the hospitality. I was blessed enough to be in Southern California, so I got to see a lot of the ghetto situations and Mexicans, blacks, drive-bys. It was not very pretty, but I would take that compared to And compared to San Francisco, anytime. Compared to all the stuff that I see over there, and I'm talking about the abominations against God. I'm not talking about the homeless situation in San Francisco, which is terrible right now. It did not exist back in the day. I don't refer to the map that is telling you where there are no feces so you can walk on those streets. No, I'm not referring to those things. I believe I could deal with all that, but I could never deal with abominations that are taking place in Northern California. Anyway, and in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. Don't forget that the United Nations building is there, and a lot of stuff that are happening on the world. There is only one country that has a veto power in UN, and there's a good reason for that. So, next chapter is going to be every Christian's favorite chapter. It doesn't start immediately. It starts on verse 10 and 11. But the good news are now beginning to unravel right after these bad news that we just read. So we haven't seen these bad news taking place yet, chapter 18. And when we do, we will know that it's just a page and the good stuff are about to take place. So as the verse says, when you see these things, look up, because your salvation is near. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed today's show. I should have Aiden here to have a quick disclaimer. Man, I'm gonna hire him. I think I want to hire Aiden Gangster. I want to hire him to say a couple of things that we can be using, like a disclaimer, a very fast disclaimer, right? I want to be using that at the end of every show. Nothing is ever. I can't even do it. The guy's so gifted, and I want him. I want to write down a couple of things that I want Trump to say. I want Aiden to read them out. Just name a price, Aiden. Just name a price. I'll do it. Yeah, Mark, I can't. But they should. But I'll take that question mark. I'll take that question mark, and I'll put it on another sentence. Could you imagine? Do you think they would? Do you think that these people in New York right now would run away if you told them? If you were like the prophet that was sent there to warn them, do you think they'd listen? So it's not a question of could. I believe it's a question of would. Would they run? Thank you for being with us. I need to end this so we go to Ryan's show. I don't want to be splitting the viewers, which means I don't have time to read any comment that exists. I'll check them out after the show ends and get back to you on the next one. Thank you, Gigi, for your company. I'll see you probably tomorrow on your show.
Okay.
All right. If Christian is fine with it, let's do it tomorrow. Round 2. Ding, 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 ding. Fight. You gotta fight, right? Take care, everyone. See you on the next one.
Bye.
Come to Ryan's show.